Welcome to CS 133, Columbia Gorge Community College, the Dallas, Oregon Mrs. Hewitt instructor. It's a little hard to believe, but we are up to week 5. So we're going to be talking about what do you have to do during week 5. It is the third and last of the word projects, which means that if you're going to turn in any word projects as extra credit, you can still turn in the one from last week, which would go with the research paper, or you'll be able to turn this one in for this week or next week, and then you're out of luck with Word, and you'll be moving on to needing to do a PowerPoint and an Excel if you want to earn full extra credit. You can do 2 projects, they just have to be from different topics. So week 5 is moving us out of Word here shortly, but we have one more week with it. So again, if you get stuck, there's some things up here with business letters that you may find helpful. Your week's videos you start with, your student data files you've downloaded and pulled off to your flash drive or your desktop. You're going to have a business letter to write. You've got your form from week 3 if you need it, but again, just a quick reminder, we're not submitting those for fonts, colors, or themes because everybody's fighting the fonts, color, and theme battle. You're not special if you're using a different version. You're just simply fighting the same windmill as we all are. You'll have your application project again, your 321 reflection journal. You'll have a form and a reply, your extra credit upload link, and of course your checklist that should help you make sure you've gotten everything done this week. So let's look at our book and see what we're going to be working on. We're going to be creating a business letter. And for a lot of you that are taking this class, you're taking it because you do plan to go in the business world in one way or another. So this is a good thing to know how to do. So you're going to come in here and it's going to talk to you a little bit about what a business letter is, how it gets set up. It is different than a casual letter. And sadly, maybe or maybe not sadly, not a lot of personal letters get written anymore. It is so much quicker and most people just simply send an email. So it's important to learn how to set up a business letter. Since you probably haven't had to do it since like 3rd or 4th grade, if even then, that's kind of a lost skill. So here's the letter when it's done. And there's some tricks to it. And there's some things I'm looking at when I look at it. I turn the symbols on in this because I'm looking for how you did it. So just let's walk through it. You've got a couple of graphics to do. You've got them facing each other, so you're going to have to do some flipping there. Notice you've got some words there, and they're pretty well centered under that. They're not one side or the other. Notice that they are what's called a serif font. Serifs have those, look like textbooks where they have the little extra things on every letter. Sort of like you would have seen when you were in school reading in books. Notice there's no live link there. That's been removed. The date will probably, the way they have it set up, I think you'll get the date you create the letter is what will end up there. Notice this is single spaced. And then they have this paragraph. Now, word wrap is going to work here. You may not line up exactly the same. And part of the technique you're going to use is to add so that this branch center team comes up as all one kind of connection. So if it doesn't fit a line, it'll move the whole thing down. You're going to be doing that in a special way. It leaves a symbol that I can look at. I'll be looking for that symbol. Then you've got a table to put in. Notice it's centered. It's not like way over here on the right or left. Notice that each section is a reasonable size. Sometimes I get students that like have one section huge and the other's just crunched. Notice it's got the top with the header, which is an empty line, but it's part of the table. It's not an over the top. It's in the table. You've got your headers right here. They look like they're a little darker. You've got your titling here for your organization, their primary responsibility, and their term of service. Again, you'll notice it's the alternating color. It's kind of a light green that goes really nicely with this little bit darker shaded light to dark green up here. That's going to be kind of your tricky part to get that mastered, but you can get close. I don't care what version you're using. Any version will get you close. Notice there's some space here. Then you've got your wording. You've got a bulleted list. You've got a space. You've got this ending. Notice this isn't centered. This is not a centered thing. The centered would have it going this way. It is a tab. It's been set with tabs where you set it in and it's lined up at a certain place. So I'll be looking at that. If you just sit and do this on the space bar until you think you've got it over, I will be able to see that when I look at it with the formatting mark showing. So you're going to want to make sure you set those tabs. Same with up here. You're going to want to make sure you set those tabs. This cannot get pushed to another line. If it does, that means you've done something wrong with the spacing here. Did you double space this? That often is one of the problems. Or did you get, like a double space between here, so it's pushed it way down? So you need to kind of look at what you might have done and fix it. These will need to be on the same line, and there will need to be some space after it. It will fit on the page pretty much exactly like it looks in the picture if you have, in fact, done it correctly. So let's walk through a little bit. There's not a lot to warn you about that I didn't mention there, but they're going to have you doing some margin work. You're going to create a letterhead. A letterhead is designed to be kept long term, so you might make it for a business, and then every time you write a letter, you grab that thing, pull it up again, save it another time with a different name, go ahead and type your letter to Joe Smith or whoever you're sending it to, and then next time you're ready to do a letter, you pull up that blank letterhead again, you save it to Ralph Jones this time, and that letterhead just gets used over and over. So you're going to create a letterhead like that. That's what you want to have. So you're going to go through all these steps. This is blue right now. It won't be blue when it's done, I hope. If it is, you have a problem. And do some positioning. Get some typing in. You're going to then play with some colors over here. It's going to work you through some of this. It's going to get you your... Now this is where you get into trouble, right here. Change the document theme, and they want you to use organic. Unfortunately, 99% of the time we can't find organic. So look at your font style. It's the style where it's got that little A with the curly Q, like you see in a textbook. It's called a serif font. There are dozens of serif font choices. Most of what we've used up to now, a lot of it's been non-serif. That means it doesn't have those little curly Q's on it. So you're going to look at this font carefully. You're going to find a font that's very, very close. You're going to look at the color. You're going to match the color very, very close. If you can get it from your choices of themes in here, go for it. If not, you'll just have to hand match it. Unfortunately, Microsoft, instead of having like 30 or 40 choices here, just really wiped out their themes, and they're like, I don't know, 5 there or 8 there. It's pitiful. And I don't know why they did it. I don't understand what the logic was in removing all of them. They had it when Office 2013 first came out. We had it for a term and a half, 2 terms, and then all of a sudden things started disappearing. If you open yours and it shows organic, click it then. Because most likely if you open this box, it shows organic, you click it, you come back and look again, whatever was there went away, and you have just those few left. And they'll never come back. And that's what I had happen with mine. So just a warning, if you happen to open it, and because you've never used it, it has everything, and it hasn't updated, quickly grab it because it probably will update. Inserting clip art, and they've changed totally how clip art's done. It's now kind of done through Bing. Not what I would exactly encourage it to be, but hey, I don't run the world. We just make do with what Microsoft gives us. So find your picture, and I think these can be found fairly easily. They do show up as far as I know. If you're going in there and you're not finding them, let me know, and I will see what I can do. I'll see if I can find them. and put them in Moodle or replace them with something that we'll all use. So if we hit a problem like that, something seems to have gone away, it's like, well, she said it was there, but I'm not finding it. Let me know. I'll go in and look again, and if I find that it is in fact gone, it's not just that you missed it, I will figure out how we're going to work around that. That becomes part of my problem to deal with. So we continue working through. They have you changing colors of it. They get these kind of colors going. Everything should be matching. I shouldn't have bright neon green or something. You can see this is kind of an olive subtle green. I'm not sure it's the prettiest green I've ever seen, but it's the green they picked, so it's the green we're using. Now they finally tell you to save. Way, 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 way too late. So please make sure you save long before this. You're going to go in here and do symbols and charts and kind of get this all set up with the email stuff and do borders. It's going to show up over here talking about how to put a border on things. Again, some more directions. Converting a hyperlink to regular text, that is handy to know lots of times. In fact, I just did it today for something I was working on, so keep that in mind. Saving. Now, this is creating the letterhead. So now you're going to want to save it. And then when you open it again, as soon as you open it, you're going to want to save it with the new name. Like, this is like letterhead, and then you'll have it open and you want to go save as, not just punch the button, save as, and change it to letter or something. So you have two copies. When you're done, you should have a letterhead and a letter. Now, I will let you in on the fact you won't be turning the letterhead in, you will be turning the letter in. So, but it's a good idea to learn to do that because that's something you're going to do over and over and over in the business world. And just talks about what elements should a business letter contain. So that's really important to know, especially if you're heading into business using tab stops. Again, another really important item to know that keeps you from going thump, 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 thump on the space bar. And it keeps the alignment when you move from machine to machine, resolution to resolution. Otherwise, things start to kind of float and shift, and they don't look the same that they looked on your machine, and suddenly you've got some funky, weird stuff going on. I've had to straighten out papers that people have, like sent me, and they've formatted it using the space bar, and it doesn't work. I can't convert it to a web document. I can't do anything with it because it just doesn't keep the formatting. Things start drifting. So you just kind of continue on following all the directions like we've been doing. This is a cool one. That's creating a building block. If you type something over and over and over and over, whether it's the Dalles or Columbia Gorge Community College or a business name or whatever it might be, creating a building block lets you put it in with like one press of a key. It's a much, much simpler way to put something in that you use over and over and over. So this is how to create a building block, and then how to modify a building block, because sometimes you may need to change it a little bit from what you've been using. So it'll walk you through modifying it. This is a cool tool. And then a non-breaking space. Now this is one students miss a lot. It's not that hard to do. They just don't take time to read the directions and go through carefully to set that up. So please make sure you do follow that carefully and you set up that non-breaking space. Then you're going to be heading into tables. You'll probably learn some new things unless you're a pro with tables. And one of the things I struggled with when I first started doing tables was finding the right one. You have to spend a little time and actually look. It tells you what it's called. I think you should be able to find it or find something very, very close to it. Resizing tables to make the contents fit and look nice. There are ways to do it, and then there are ways to massacre it. We're coming down towards the thing. We're going to align data, inserting a row. That's a good skill to know. A lot of times we have to go back and add a row, add a column, split a table, put in more text. taking some data out, and then you want to, of course, make sure it's saved. Now, one of the things you're going to come to at the end is the option to do address and labels for envelopes, not really labels, printing envelopes. And so you're going to be able to do this, and if you do go ahead and go through this process to address and oops, sorry about that. I think I hit it with my book when I threw it across there. Address and print an envelope. So if you follow these steps, now when we do an envelope, should we have a return address? Yes. So you already have a letter. Let me find the beginning of this. You already have a letter that has their address on it. Just use their address for the return address, and you're good to go. Don't forget the return address. So you set this up. The envelope will go automatically to the top of your letter. That's the normal place it goes. And so it's going to pop up at top so that when I open it, I'll see the envelope and then I'll see your letter. If I see that envelope, it's automatically some extra credit points. If you have all the parts and pieces included, the return address, you've set it up right, it's 5 points. You say, well, what's 5 points? I had one student last term that was the difference between getting the B and the A. If they had done the envelope, they would have had the A. They had an 89.3 and they needed to have at least an 89.5 for rounding to put it to an A. 5 points would have done it. So yes, it does happen. Those points can make a difference. And these are 5 points on top of the 20 or the top of the 40 that you can do with projects. So it seems logical that for these few steps, it's worth getting those points. Plus, you learn how to do it. So once you get that done and you submit it, don't try to put the envelope at the bottom. It goes to the top. It's going to be at the top. It's okay. Leave it at the top. It's going to kind of take you over to the end, exiting chapter summary, and you're over to the yellow pages. Again, we're going to kind of pop through those. You remember that in the lab are going to be any extra credit that you're going to do if you want to do any extra credit this week. Your extra credit ones, and then you're considered this your turn. Now, one of the choices is writing an admissions acceptance letter. And some of the things I'm going to look at is, do you have the banner, the header, the letterhead on it? Do you have the addressing done, the date? Have you set the letter up in the correct format? Did you add the table? Because the information right here is for the table. Did you finish off the letter? Do you have the signature lines set up? And are they set up correctly? Did you get it all on one page, how it's supposed to be? Sometimes kids, students, anybody doing this, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're 15 doing it or if you're 75 doing it. It's really easy to get caught into the, I'm going to make this look cool factor. We all do it. Oh, I'm going to make this so cool. I'm going to add this. I'm going to add this. And pretty soon this top letterhead is like 3 inches high and your letter falls off the other end of the page. Cool is great. Spacing counts. So don't get so caught into it. You know, I don't care how old you are. It's kind of fun to design and make stuff. It gets kind of cool. So don't get caught into the cool to the point that you can't get your letter to fit on the page. It happens. So you can do an admissions letter. You're going to set it up so it looks like a letter. It's going to have the top. It's going to have all the information on it. It's going to have, you know, the acceptance part. Everything's kind of here. It does ask you, I have to kind of look, but I know it says to. Well, one thing is the unformatted paragraphs for the letter are in a file called your turn 2-1 letter paragraphs in the data file. So you don't have to type or develop this from scratch. It is already kind of here for you, which is really nice. So it should have a letterhead that contains shape and clip art, a table with appropriate table style applied, and plain old black and white is not okay. It needs to have a bulleted list for presenting the items to complete before class started. It needs to have a non-breaking space in the college name. This gets forgotten a lot. Create a building block for the college name. Edit the building block so that it has a screen tip, and insert the building block whenever you have to do the college name. Again, you're down to using all the concepts and techniques. So that means tab setting. That means putting an underline up there to split off your letterhead from the main part of the letter. That means removing any links or hyperlinks so that it's plain text. All of those types of things should be done because you just did them in the letter. Now, have fun creating your letterhead. Don't get too wild and crazy and make it, 3 or 4 inches tall, but have fun. You can have a nice sized letterhead that's pretty cool. I've seen some really nice ones done by students. So it says if you'd rather, you can copy and paste the text into your letter instead of typing the paragraphs. So that's fine. If requested by your instructor, use your name. I don't really care one way or the other. You can leave it as is, or you can use your name. It isn't going to make any difference. Be sure to check spelling and grammar, and then submit it through Moodle, which is how you turn everything in. Then you're back to part 2. You're going to want to come in here, and you're going to want to type in all your questions in a new Word document, not on the bottom of this, not in the middle of this, but on a whole new document. Type in the questions, type in your answers, make sure you have at least 200 words, because otherwise you're going to be graded down. So that's one of them. Another one is you can do a confirmation letter. And again, it provides you with all the parts and pieces. It walks you through. It tells you exactly what it wants. It tells you where things are in the data files. It tells you all the building blocks. It has another non-breaking character. It has all the same basic parts and pieces. It's just a different topic. And again, part 2 on a separate document to be uploaded. Now, this is another one. Design and create a letter to a potential employer. Again, that's much, much harder. You can do it if you want to. And remember, you don't have a team. You are the team. You are the whole team. So back to here, what else do you have to have done? That's basically it. Hit your checklist and you'll be ready to head into Unit 6 when we get there.